Former U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, on his second visit to Taiwan, makes a very strong statement in support of the country's sovereignty. Japan's former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe is laid to rest in a state funeral not welcomed by many Japanese. Railway workers say government plans to keep them on the job don't go far enough. And muddying the waters, authorities investigate another bout of suspected pollution at tourist hotspot Sun Moon Lake. A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Erika Liu. Visiting former U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is in the southern port city of Kaohsiung, addressing an economic forum. He has once again voiced support for Taiwan's independence. Erika Liu looks at his statements.
It's a statement likely to raise the ire of Beijing. But former U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has again reiterated his support for Taiwan's right to rule itself.
Taiwan does not need to declare its independence because it is already an independent nation.
Pompeo was speaking at the inaugural Global Taiwan Business Forum in the southern city of Kaohsiung. He called for closer ties with Taipei as Washington seeks to stem China's influence.
If we want a free 21st century, and not the Chinese century, the century which Xi Jinping dreams of, the old paradigm of blind engagement must end. Engagement with China simply will not get that done. America must choose instead to engage with China realistically and on our terms, the terms of freedom. This includes deeper and far more enthusiastic relationship with Taiwan.
The U.S. politician was sanctioned by China in January 2021 when he left office at the end of the Trump presidency. His visit to the southern port city was welcomed by Taiwan Vice President William Lai.
And I also would like to take this opportunity to thank you again for all you have done as a Secretary of State to enhance our relationship by facilitating arms sale to defense Taiwan and strengthening security commitment to Taiwan, lifting outdated restrictions on our official exchanges, and helping establish bilateral cooperative mechanism. For example, U.S.-Taiwan Economic Prosperity Dialogue.
Pompeo arrived in Taiwan on Monday night. It's his second visit this year. In his previous trip in March, he called on the United States to recognize Taiwan as a free and sovereign country. He was also honored by Taiwan President Tsai Ing-wen. During this multi-day trip, he will address the World Taiwanese Chambers of Commerce, as well as visit several high-tech companies in southern Taiwan. Andy Xue and Erika Liu for TaiwanPlus.
Just a day before Mike Pompeo flew into Taiwan, there was a bomb threat at Taoyuan International Airport. The message sent on Sunday night said that an explosive had been placed at the airport and demanded that Taiwan stop all pro-independence activities. Security personnel swept the facility but did not find anything suspicious. Airport police say the message was sent from an overseas IP address, and it will be almost impossible to track down the sender. According to the government figures, Taiwan has received over 60 bomb threats on public transport over the past year. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said that an attack on Taiwan by China would be a disaster for global industry. His comment came in an interview with CBS News.
Taiwan itself, were anything to happen, it is where virtually all the semiconductors are made. If that's disrupted, the effects that would have on the global economy could be devastating.
Blinken was speaking on Sunday, 2 days after meeting Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly. Following their meeting, the Chinese side accused the U.S. of making dangerous signals on Taiwan that Beijing sees as encouraging Taiwan independence. Blinken told the minister that the U.S. has not changed its one China policy and sees peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait as vitally important. He reiterated this position in the CBS interview and expressed concerns that China has been making moves to change the status quo in the Taiwan Strait. Dignitaries from around the world are attending the funeral of Japan's former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. He was shot dead in July as he gave an election campaign speech. The shock of his assassination was particularly felt in Taiwan, where Abe was considered a good friend to the country. TaiwanPlus reporter Louise Watt is at Japan's representative office in Taiwan's capital.
I'm here at the de facto Japanese embassy in Taipei on the day of the funeral of Shinzo Abe. He was Japan's longest-serving prime minister and viewed here in Taiwan as a good friend. Two former legislative speakers and the daughter of Taiwan's former president Lee Teng-hui are attending the funeral in central Tokyo. Also among the roughly 4,000 guests are the US Vice President Kamala Harris and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Abe was assassinated in July while campaigning. But in Japan, there has been much opposition to holding a state funeral for him, as he was a controversial prime minister for his attempts to whitewash Japan's wartime atrocities. And also because of the expense. It's costing $12 million of taxpayers' money. However, here in Taipei, Abe was a popular figure. He was considered a long-time supporter of Taiwan, who deepened relations between Tokyo and Taipei, and he believed that Tokyo and Washington could not stand by if China attacked Taiwan. Many Taiwanese will be mourning someone who they feel raised awareness of Taiwan's security and made Taiwan feel a little less alone in the world. Alex Chen and Louise Watt for TaiwanPlus.
The U.S. Vice President and the Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida condemned China's actions in the Taiwan Strait in discussions aimed at preserving peace and stability in the region. Kamala Harris also reaffirmed Washington's commitment to Japan's defense during Monday's meeting. Harris is leading the U.S. delegation for the state funeral of former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Tokyo is the first stop in her Asia trip, which will also include South Korea. Both leaders emphasized the importance of maintaining close ties.
The alliance between Japan and the United States is a cornerstone of what we believe is integral to peace, stability, and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific region. And it is something we prioritize because we also believe it is in the best interest of the American people in terms of their security and prosperity, and we do believe the same for the Japanese people.
Taiwan's Transport Ministry has given the cabinet a proposal about how to keep railway workers from quitting as the railway administration moves on to become a public corporation. These plans have upset the railway union, which says they could cause more workers to seek jobs elsewhere. Jean-Van Trieste has this story.
Railway workers gather outside the cabinet building to make sure their voices are heard. The Railways Administration is being turned from a government body into a public corporation, which some workers fear will mean longer hours and less pay. They say they were originally promised a pay raise that will now only be granted to certain workers. But the Transport Minister says it's just a matter of time before the government can honor its promise.
目前就是对于关键人才的加薪，还有世界的加薪都已经谈了。那这个部分在所有台铁的企业工会的所有会员也大概了解哈。比较大幅的加薪会在公司化有盈余的时候。
Another issue is time off. Officials and management have agreed to make employees work on national holidays, preventing strikes like the one that paralyzed rail travel on May Day this year. But the cabinet says it will respect Taiwan's labor law so that no worker works more than 6 days without a day off. And an official at the protest said there will be room to talk things over.
员工休假的问题，我们是有提到说，希望能够有所规范。那个规范不是说要去修劳基法，去把它变成怎么样的方式，而是要跟员工去协商。
Still, the protesting rail workers say proposals for keeping them from quitting aren't attractive enough. They also say the process of turning into a corporation hasn't been transparent, with no public meetings on the matter.
有关多达16000名员工未来的权益事项与铁路的未来，只有开放沟通、寻求共识，才能确保公司化后确实提供给员工安全稳定的职场。
The Railways Administration already faces a shortage of workers, from maintenance staff to conductors. Over the recent Mid-Autumn Festival long weekend, signals broke down, causing long delays. And where trains were running, management had to pull conductors out of retirement to drive them. Protesting workers say government plans to retain them could backfire, only worsening the problem. Kama Xu and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's local elections are just weeks away, and campaigning is heating up. Voters across the country will be casting ballots for 22 city or county heads on November 26th. And as Ryan Kilpatrick reports, as the vote gets closer, leading parties are lobbing damaging accusations at each other.
Allegations swirl as the countdown to Taiwan's pivotal local elections continues. In the country's most populous city, New Taipei, Democratic Progressive Party contender Lin Jialong has cast aspersions on the academic record of incumbent mayor Hou You-yi. Lin has accused Hou of the rival Kuomintang of falsifying a statement regarding his PhD from the Central Police University.
侯阵营为什么去伪造这个声明必须要对社会说明以及道歉我想这个也可能涉及刑责
Hou, who is standing for re-election, has denied the allegation.
检派已经说得非常清楚，可受公平，也欢迎大家来检视。
In the neighboring port city of Keelung, the DPP has accused the KMT candidate, George Xie, of money laundering through loans. Lord Zhezheng raised suspicion over an alleged sum of money, which ended up in the accounts of Xie's investment and management consultancy. The DPP has said Xie is guilty of 5 major crimes, including receiving the proceeds of crime.
一家资本额700万的公司有办法借1亿多台币，而且是用美金来借款，那到底合不合理？还款1亿多里面，还有300万的利息钱给了谢国良个人。那如果金星这家公司是用公司借款的话，那为什么利息钱是还给个人呢？
Xie says the claims have been refuted by his campaign and is demanding an apology from the DPP.
事实上，当年的那个借款，金星是只有占300万，其他是由2个公司共同代予的。那2个公司其中就有一个公司的资本额是达700万美金，所以做这样子的借贷是完全没有问题。
Further down south in Yunlin County, the KMT is calling on the DPP's candidate for county magistrate, Liu Jianguo, to tear down an illegal farmhouse being used as his campaign headquarters.
它的合法的建造只有82平方公尺。经过我们的空拍计算，这个竞选总部为什么暴增到300平方公尺以上？
The DPP has responded, saying that the illegal structure was already on the property when they leased it. They also hit back, saying that the most famous illegal structure in the county is the manor owned by current KMT magistrate Zhang Lisan. The back and forth between the two parties is expected to heat up even more as the November 26th election date draws closer. Ryan Kilpatrick for TaiwanPlus.
Taipei is the latest city in Taiwan to hike its daycare fees. The capital says registered childcare centers will charge about $15 more per month due to rising inflation and personal costs. It's the first increase since 2016 and eats into the $45 per month subsidy given to parents nationwide starting in August. Out of Taiwan's biggest cities, only Taichung and Kaohsiung haven't raised daycare prices recently. A survey conducted by Taiwan's Health Promotion Administration is showing an increase in young people using e-cigarettes. The government study found that roughly 79,000 teenagers in Taiwan are vaping regularly. Civic groups are calling for e-cigarette bans on campuses after parents raised concerns about its widespread use in schools. The groups are demanding more regulation to protect the younger generation, as Taiwan's smoking laws have not been amended in 15 years. The Health Promotion Administration says that continued use of e-cigarettes could lead to impaired cognitive development and addiction. Authorities are investigating whether a hotel has been dumping sewage into the protected waters of one of central Taiwan's top tourist attractions, Sun Moon Lake. Rick Glatt reports.
This cloudy liquid has been spilling into Sun Moon Lake, one of the country's top tourist attractions, known for its natural beauty. Residents here fear this is sewage polluting the waters.
咱鸟来共款啊，臭臭啊，还有潲轮味啊，反正都无人要插啦。
错啊，都没有改善，困了阮都袂食，啊，这臭干呢是要安怎做？
Hundreds of thousands of visitors come here every year, but development along the lake shores often puts tourism at loggerheads with preserving the natural beauty. A large hotel here was previously fined the equivalent of $8,000, and residents suspect that they are also behind this latest leak.
我们也不排除是上一次就是有一家饭店业者他的废水处理异常，在派员前往了解。
But the hotel owner says that this time they're not at fault.
饭店每天都有在做污水系统的排水的检测嘛，测量的结果都是正常的，所以我们不太清楚这个现象是怎么造成的，我们再了解一下。
For more than a decade, environmentalists have been sounding the alarm over pollution as hotels and restaurants pop up along the water's edge. But climate change also puts the region at risk. Last year, a record drought across the country shrunk the lake to the size of a pond, devastating the local tourism industry. This latest environmental scandal comes as Taiwan begins to remove more than 2 years of strict COVID border controls and welcomes international travellers. And it's a timely reminder that as the country opens up, Taiwan will need to balance developing its tourism industry with protecting the environment. Rick Yi and Rick Glowett for TaiwanPlus.
Coming up after the break, we meet the Taiwan-based photographer who found inspiration in a Taipei bookstore.
我们真的很久没有表演，
走到了一个必须要停下来的状态，因为我又不会看谱，
就不知道哪来的韵，有些人喜欢。
想想我最擅长的事情好像是玩团。
其实我的歌很多都是在解决我自己遇到的问题。
我通常会发脾气或者是暴怒，是因为不公平。
发现我对舞台是不熟悉的。
诚实的讲述你自己，就会有人听。
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. Authorities in the Philippines are rushing to distribute aid to thousands of people forced out of their homes in the wake of the most powerful storm to hit the country this year. At least 8 people have been killed after Typhoon Noru hit the north of the country on Sunday. They include 5 rescuers who are trying to save villagers trapped in floodwaters. President Ferdinand Marcos inspected flood-affected areas in central Luzon, where some houses and fields have been submerged. The typhoon has left a trail of destruction in northern Philippines provinces. On Monday, schools, government offices, and the country's stock market were closed. At least 50 people are dead and around 15 still missing after an overcrowded ferry sank in Bangladesh. The boat was carrying Hindu worshippers on their way to a temple festival. An investigation is underway, though reports suggest the boat was packed to nearly 3 times capacity. It is the worst boat accident in Bangladesh since 2015. Such accidents are common in the country, where ferry transport is widespread and safety standards are lax. NASA has successfully conducted a test aimed at preventing a potential doomsday asteroid collision with Earth. NASA is calling the exercise, which took place 11 million kilometers from Earth, the world's first planetary defense system mission. It used a spacecraft to try to change the trajectory of an asteroid by shifting it off course. The experiment began 10 months ago when NASA launched the DART spacecraft, which eventually slammed into the target asteroid called Dimorphos. DART was no bigger than a vending machine, and footage from the craft shows it crashing into the asteroid. But scientists may have to wait weeks to find out whether the experiment succeeded. Either way, NASA officials are celebrating the immediate outcome of the test. Scientists in Japan have managed to fit cockroaches with tiny backpacks that can control their movements. Experts say the breakthrough in technology could be used to guide the insects to become the first responders in the event of an earthquake or natural disaster. Jaime Yokon has this story.
These cockroaches could be the next generation of first responders. Scientists in Japan have developed a new technology that can control the movement of insects. Experts say that this breakthrough could be crucial in the case of an emergency like an earthquake, as it would be easier for bugs to traverse the terrain.
メインで考えている想定される使用場所は災害現場での人命探索です。特に地震などでビルが倒壊して瓦礫に人が埋もれている、そのような環境の時に狭い隙間の中に入り込めるようなものを実現する、こういったものが有望なアプリケーションであると考えて我々は研究を進めております。
The roaches are fitted with a solar-powered backpack, which transmits electric vibrations that control the bug's movements. The backpack is glued to the insect with a special film, specifically developed so it won't hurt the insects. But only Madagascar hissing cockroaches can be used for the experiments, as they don't have wings that get in the way and are big enough to hold the technology.
そのフィルムを腹部に貼り付けても、そのような腹部の節の動きを阻害せずに充電することができましたので、自由な動きを確保しながら十分な充電量を確保することができるようになりました。
Scientists say the insects are easier to control and more efficient in the experiment compared to the other subjects they tried, like robots.
すごいね。小型のロボットに積めるバッテリーだとすぐにバッテリーが空になってしまって、探索時間が極端に短くなってしまう。昆虫の動き自体は昆虫自身が動かしておりますので、そこに対する消費電力は全くかからないという、特徴を持っております。
As the experiment is proving to be a success, the next time an earthquake strikes and topples buildings, the first to respond might be one of these roaches. Patrick Chen and Jaime Okan for TaiwanPlus.
Now we take you to meet a French photographer in Taiwan with a special project, capturing images of people in an iconic Taipei bookstore.
Pourquoi j'aime Taïwan? Parce qu'en fait, j'aime beaucoup Taïwan, parce que c'est là où j'ai pris mes premiers cours de chinois. Quand j'étais web analyste à Paris, avant de commencer mon voyage de Paris jusqu'aux Himalayas, j'avais prévu de revenir à Paris et de continuer mon travail. Et puis la vie a fait que je suis aussi devenu photographe, un peu par hasard. Mais pour moi, ce sont vraiment deux métiers complémentaires. Le métier de web analyste m'a appris à synthétiser les choses. Et c'est exactement la même chose en tant que photographe. Quand je me plonge pendant 8 mois dans la vie de quelqu'un, on récolte énormément d'informations. Cette capacité d'analyse que demande la web analytics m'aide justement à construire des histoires, d'aller toujours chercher, d'explorer, et c'est en ce sens où les deux métiers pour moi se rejoignent. Je venais d'arriver à Taipei et on m'avait parlé en fait d'un bookstore qui ouvrait 24 heures sur 24 et à une époque où on a des sites internet où on peut acheter un livre comme ça juste en cliquant sur un bouton, et j'avais trouvé ça dingue qu'un bookstore puisse ouvrir 24 heures sur 24. The thing I like with a bookstore, it's a place full of stories. And at the beginning I was a bit stressful because you never know how people are gonna react about your project. I like to be touched by people, and I remember these two kids. They came from another island so far and they just arrived in Taipei, and the first thing they did was to go to a bookstore. They didn't care about the camera. They was keeping reading, and it was really nice. I also like this couple during the Valentine's Day. It was like 3 a.m. and they were together inside the bookstore and with a small flower. Also another couple, 2 girls, who was in the bookstore to prepare a trip in Europe. And also a young man, he has to stick, He really touched me because I think you have to make more effort to reach the book than the other people. It was an amazing experience. We met different kind of people. and different kind of profile, couple, middle-aged, young people, families, and they told us the same thing actually. They like this place because it's a way for them to find a quiet place. J'aime bien l'odeur, l'atmosphère des librairies, d'un livre, le toucher d'un livre. J'ai découvert la lecture assez tard, parce que quand j'étais enfant, en fait, quand on vient d'une île, entouré d'eau, d'océans, de rivières, et j'avais d'autres choses à faire que de rester à la maison. Il n'y avait pas beaucoup de livres d'ailleurs à la maison. Quand j'ai quitté La Réunion pour Paris, où j'ai fait mes études, j'ai eu ce besoin en fait de retrouver ce travail d'imagination, et les livres aident à ça. On idéalise toujours un peu le métier de photographe, on pense qu'on voyage beaucoup, que c'est toujours différent, mais aujourd'hui principalement, les photographes, les journalistes sont confrontés à, comme beaucoup de métiers, à l'impact d'Internet dans les médias. Et c'est vraiment un mode de vie, il faut vraiment avoir confiance en soi, ne pas avoir peur des lendemains surtout. Il faut se réveiller avec l'envie justement de faire les choses et d'aimer ce qu'on fait. Je pense qu'il n'y a pas plus important au final.
Thanks for watching TaiwanPlus News. I'm Erika Liu. Finally, we leave you with images of an 88-year-old man skydiving in Bosnia and Herzegovina. It's his 1,487th jump. For more stories from Taiwan and around the world, please download the TaiwanPlus app. Stay safe and see you next time.